a super producer. Produce. You want to get in the game? Produce. What are you producing? I want to know right now. Are you working on content? Are you working on code? Are you working on engineering? Are you working on data? Are you working on video? You got to produce. Super producer. There's people who barely produce, there's producers, and then there's super producers. Are you a super producer? If you are, get at me. If you think you are, then shit, I don't know. I don't really know if you a really super producer. This is what super producing looks like. Super producing. Abusing. Deuces.
Yeah, man. Would love to hear about you, straight from you, just, individually and as a person, and that we're taking kind of smaller positions and so on. And we had just a whole different fund model. And I remember Josh Koppelman from First Round, who's an LP in Fund One, taught us to buy as much as you can, as early as you can. And that kind of at the time we were writing 250K checks. We had the capacity to write 750, and now it's even north of that. But it just reframed the way we thought about venture as a whole. This is a sport where exactly. So that resonates from us, that whole ethos of kind of going big resonates with us as founders. But Carrie, would love for you to kick off Loop's story.
This is a homage to where I come from, which is a small farm in Canada that mills buckwheat. This is where my family immigrated from, and it's a bag that they use to actually store the buckwheat, and it's our family farm with the address and telephone number. Yeah, it keeps me grounded in where I come from and who I come from and who I am. But essentially, my background's a little bit more on the technical side of the house, so I focus a little bit more on the data science and data architecture, which we can get into. But let's start with Loop a little bit. Let's give you a little high level of what Loop's all about, what we're trying to accomplish, and we can go into bios as part of that. So Loop is looking at the way things have always been done in insurance and identifying a very big market that has not changed over the last 30 years and has not been built for or served, in particular, people of color, people with lower credit, people with lower levels of education, but just systematically mispriced and perpetuated structural bias in their pricing methodology, where new data, new technology, frankly, AI and cloud computing allow us to be much more accurate assessors of risk and deploy a mobile technology that monitors where people drive on the roads, whether they're driving in unsafe areas and how they behave on those roads, whether they're talking on their cell phones, to develop essentially a novel methodology of rating risk, but one that eliminates a lot of the bias that goes into pricing risk based on who you are rather than how you behave and your propensity of being involved in a crash. So at its core, Loop is a technology product, quite sophisticated data methodology and back-end architecture that I oversee. My background has been in data science for about 15 years. I started my career at the Urban Institute, then the Brookings Institution as a researcher in geospatial urban poverty. So building models that anticipate how you can transcend your economic circumstance based on where you're born into and what you can access via transportation, whether that be hospitals or jobs or childcare or food, and have applied a lot of those principles of ethical AI development and big data at scale here with Loop as a way and means of affording people greater upward economic mobility through actual physical mobility and granting them insurance policy.
There's no coincidence to me why the unicorns in insurtech are consumer. Because you're able to just directly express the technology and build your own stack in a way that you see fit versus having to rely on incumbents who have to deal with regulation and stakeholders and ungodly layers of middle management. And most of them will die a slow death or capture small market share. But we thought we would do the more audacious, the bigger, more difficult, complex thing of vertically integrating and going straight to market. Right now, just to give you a sense of where we're at, so I guess the value proposition for the customer too is like, man, there are many customers. We estimate at least 5 to 7% of the total market, and the market size is about 256 billion. So at least 5, 7, 10 billion dollars of gross written premium today we have categorized as structurally mispriced. So these are drivers that are safe, no prior accidents, very few points, and they might have student loan debt. They might have, for whatever reason, their socioeconomic status is giving them a price that is 70% above average compared to their well-educated white counterparts. And so what we're able to do is effectively build a brand for this consumer that is effectively tolerating a solution that's good enough, and build something that feels made for them. Rather than kind of going a mile wide but an inch deep with our value proposition, I'm just pricing, we're going a mile deep and an inch wide and building a product that's specific to our consumers' experience. And I mean, it's been working. We soft launched 6 weeks ago. We anticipated having 50 customers well, we've been working on the product, but we soft launched to the market maybe 6 weeks ago, and we anticipate having, in our initial models, having 50 customers in our launch month, which will be June, and we presently have 14,500 some odd customers on the wait list. I mean, the growth has been exponential. We're acquiring leads at a literal 10th or 100th of the established customer acquisition price that's out there right now. So I think, it's funny because when we were raising seed, a lot of seed investors thought that the equity and the mission driven type of value prop would potentially ring hollow. And I thought to myself, well, isn't that privileged to say? Like, because if, folks that get the best rates, those rates are subsidized at the expense of customers on the opposite end of the spectrum that we believe, many of which are unfairly categorized as high risk. They're safe drivers. They're just, because of the way that the legacy models over index for demographic factors, they're gonna get that price because that's the actual mechanics of the rate filing. So when we introduce a model that deprioritizes the importance of demographic factors and instead over indexes for where and how you drive, then the result is much different in terms of your pricing and in terms of how competitive we can be for you.
Okay. No, you're not going nowhere. You're not going nowhere.
Crazy idea, and I thought I would run it by you. So, is there a way, this is me thinking like magically what would solve our problem? Hey, this file got uploaded. Is that possible? So then we would just write a little Python script to automate the transcription. So do it once, get the output, and then read that output, see if there's any differences and flag the differences over time, yeah? But step one is, can we output, what tool would we use, how would we do it, I don't know how to do it. Transcribe the contents of our Google Drive into a table. Probably Excel or Google Sheets. And what I'm thinking is, I don't know what the output looks like, but what if it had like the root folder, it was just like loop / and a file extension name essentially for every document, down to like XLSX or Google Docs or whatever. If we could just have a full inventory of all of the files, can we see if that's possible?
Transcribe the video, and it will also have the location of the video in the Google Drive.
Let me use different language because I think we're miscommunicating. So when I say transcribe, I mean like not transcribe a video or like the contents of any individual piece of content. What I'm thinking about is taking this structure of Google Drive and I can automate it as the new data is uploaded into the drive. I just re-pull the transcription and then compare the two versions, and then I have an automatic trigger as well as to new content being uploaded. So I thought if it was possible,
Yes.
it'd be
Yeah.
cool. If not, I'm making it up. So you tell me if it's not possible.
Allah ne kambe kambe jonte Allah ne kambe surwaliko mbolo moy dole surwaliko mbolo moy dole. Nencamente comento, abukata. Nencamente comento, abukata. Nekambe.
Can we sell kids?
Ya, loco. Oye,
I'm serious. though.
oye, pero, oye, Johnny.
Kids,
People
like-
give me the reputation of being a capitalist. When she walked out of that clubhouse and was like, "What can we sell kids?" Carrie is the
Bad
true
idea.
Ya, André.
Let's
Oye, Carrie,
think about insurance.
I thought something different. Yo pensaba que algo diferente de ti, no.
Okay.
I'm
What
sorry.
did you think? I bought shit that resonated with me in my childhood, and like Geico's effort at that is to put a fucking gecko. So the gecko is one of the most recognized brands of 5-year-old children in the
No, es
world.
verdad, es verdad.
Right? Like, there's a reason. Hey, give me that. Yo.
Oye, vamos a un collab con Fruity Loops.
Fruity Loops.
But I'm like wondering if we could teach kids about insurance. Like, can we make insurance fun and cool and like put a fucking playscape in there? I don't know. Yeah, but we can do that more. We can do it with big implementations like playgrounds that take like years to do, or we can like drive around with ice cream trucks in the summer and just like, you know what I mean?
Why would it
Like,
take years to throw some monkey bars up in the place?
Es verdad.
because it takes years to get the land and to build
You
it.
go to the fucking projects and you throw some fucking monkey bars in there. That's all you gotta do. Some bright. You go and you spray paint the existing play
I just
playground.
think there's something we can do to bring more regular and recurring love.
I like the ice cream idea, to be honest.
I
It's a
love
good
the
idea.
ice cream idea.
'Cause it's very
It
simple.
also was a good idea, but of course this is easier to execute. Point is that I like the brand. Like, let's do some brand actions. And I don't want to sell kids anything. I think it was the right spirit though. That was a lot.
Que está fuerte, está fuerte. Oye, pa John DC,
Yeah.
for John to
He
say,
didn't say it
to
like
be
that.
like that.
When you say it like that,
Damn, girl. But I do agree with like,
I don't know what I
hey,
meant. I meant
let's
like,
activate the joy for kids.
yes, for children.
There we
Exactly.
go.
Sí,
Make
sí.
something fun for kids.
Mbolo Mbolo moy dole Mbolo Mbolo moy dole Nekambe Allah nekambe Kambe
a content management system essentially from the ground up for a couple purposes: to help John's team upload content with like consistent names, for JC on the ads team to push all that content, and then for the data team and the ads team to work together to evaluate the performance of the content. All starts with this naming of the content. And so we're trying to take a lot of weight off of your guys' shoulders. Just give you good guidance about how to save things, where to save things, and then not give you necessarily any burden of the other team's responsibilities. So like, yeah.
I see. What is Zoom shooting school?
Yeah, effectively, we shoot so much content and it gets used in so many ways by so many different people. We have editors, we have paid media, we have micro editors, macro editors, different show names that we're doing. I mean, we do a lot with content, and we were finding that as we were. Yeah, we have cereal. Yeah, let's go get some cereal. Let's go.
Let's go.
Very sweet.
Sound of growth. Kabloom.